Hey guys, so by the title of this video, you know what we're going to talk about today. And we're just going to sit here and talk about and be honest and open about the harsh truth about relationships when it comes to the breakup, especially. And I'm going to be speaking off of experience. I never like to get on this app, any app for that matter, and try to tell you things that I cannot resort back to, you know? Like I can't. That's just not me. So, I'm going to tell you this based off of my own experiences. Um and just things that I know people deal with too. I have people in my life who have come to me about a lot of different topics, especially relationship related, because I've been in a few. I've been in a few relationships and I've had kids and just, different things like that. So I'm able to give people advice based off of that, and I take their stories and things too, and I apply that to my own life. So, you know, that's also my little resource. But that being said, let's get into it. I've been in a few relationships. I had my fair share of situationships and different things like that, right? So, majority of what I'm speaking on is going to be solely based off of my last relationship that I got in, well, that I got out of about 6 months ago. But this relationship has a lot of similarities to my relationship before this one as well. So most of this is going to be related to that. There are going to be a lot of similarities, that being said. Now, I want to start off by saying that this relationship that I was just in was one that I did not see myself getting out of. I can be honest and say that with my chest. So when you get with the person, at least when I do, well, with this specific person, because to me, starting out, he wasn't like any other person. So this relationship was a lot different for me when it started out. The way things came about and everything, it just kind of felt like God definitely played a really, really big role in the relationship. And I think that that's why I put so much into it, how I did, especially being newly spiritually on my journey for like a year prior to. So I was real like this with God in my spiritual journey by this time. So the feelings that I felt, the intuition, the signs, the angel numbers, synchronicities and stuff, to me, it just felt like this was something bigger, which it was, but not for the reasons that I, at least I guess, thought it was, or perhaps it was supposed to be something bigger. We were supposed to be together, but free will took its place, and it is what it is. So I can't really say. All I can say is the relationship is non-existent now. So do what you will with that. But what I can say is, I was with this person for about a year and a half. And during that whole year and a half, no, everything wasn't just terrible. But a lot of things were going on that, I guess I could say, there were a lot of things going on under the surface. Okay. And because so many things were under the surface and I had to find out so many things throughout time to then later on add up what really is going on, especially after we broke up. Um, for me, number one on the list, relationships like this, not all of them, but the relationship that I was in was an illusion. It was an illusion. And sometimes you do not see the full picture of that illusion until you're fully out of the illusion. It's finally broken. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so you really can sit back and reflect on what actually happened. Like, let's really take a second and really think what actually just fucking happened. You know what I'm saying? The relationship for me felt very real, especially compared to what I dealt with in the past. It felt so real. It felt like magic, you know what I'm saying? And I think that it felt so real for me too, was because I was being very genuine with this individual. Like, I wasn't holding back, I wasn't hiding. I was trying to be as open as I could. Obviously very transparent because, I feel like one of the reasons we connected in the beginning, like right off the bat, is because we were just being like transparent with each other with a lot of stuff, like just about our personal lives and stuff. But, you know, as relationships go on and as time goes on, you get to know people. There are things that you probably don't want people to know about you, so you try to hide them, you try to mask them, but eventually it just comes a time where you have to say something, where you have to show it. And so I dealt with a lot of that, just to make it in simpler terms. I dealt with a lot of having to dig, you know. But, after we broke up and I really got to really analyze the whole situation, I also realized that we had two different intentions. We had two different perspectives on this relationship. We looked at this relationship and we had two different experiences. And I've come to terms with the fact that he was with me for performative reasons only. Um, and I didn't realize that obviously initially, especially because we had so many similarities and we had a lot of things in common where, especially when it came to like social media and different things like that, like to where we jumped like right on it with things, you know what I'm saying? And we're both content creators, um, creatives and stuff. So, it wasn't like the stuff we were doing was out of the norm for either one of us. But um I do remember telling him like I feel like I didn't really get to be your girlfriend. I feel like, because between us trying to do our content, because it's like it's our a part of our lifestyle. Like, we're doing our content and things like that. And, even when it comes to our vacations, our trips that we just started going on, that we didn't even really get to break the ice with for real, but we just started going on trips and doing stuff together. Um, and I remember telling him, like, I just don't feel like I got to really be in that feminine energy, that space, because we are always doing this, we're always doing that. And then just like the other aspects of the relationship where he lacked that and different things like that. So, for me, I just feel like going back to the whole performative aspect of the relationship, I really just feel like he was not in it for the long term. He was in it for whatever was going on in the moment. And for me, that doesn't work because I'm grown as fuck. Okay. I got kids. We talked about marriage. We even tried having our own child. We talked about having a child, tried, right? And, had plans for the future of even that too. So, like, it got to a point where I think things just really got so serious for him when they should have been serious from the beginning, but to the point where he really had to figure out, like, am I going to keep leading this situation on or am I going to cut it off? Because when we did break up, I sat down and I told him, I'm like, I need this from you. And if you cannot give me this, you need to make a choice. Either you're gonna do what you need to do as a man and boyfriend and fix the area where you're lacking in that I need you the most, or leave. And he chose to leave. And that's not even what the video is about, like the whole reasoning and the breakups and this and the third. Like that's a whole separate video, but specifically just staying on the subject, it was just very performative, and being very performative is such a narcissistic trait to have. And I didn't realize how narcissistic he really was until toward the end of the relationship. And then obviously full blown the breakup. It just all summed it all up for me. And I had kids with the narcissist. So I can recognize this behavior in these things. You know what I'm saying? Subconsciously and then consciously. So it was a no brainer, especially when I realized I'm in the same cycle again with a person who is choosing, you know, to choosing their free will versus what their spirit is telling them they should do and who they should be with. And that's a choice that they had to make. You cannot control what people want to do with their lives. You can only control if you're going to be in their life or not. And so being that he did not want to step up and being that, you know, he didn't want to, being that he rather had did what was easier and what he knew and just kind of being idled in life, I guess, he made that choice. And that's fine for him, but for me, I can't be with a person like that. I need to be the man that knows where he wants to go. A man that has his head on straight, a man that knows what he wants. Period. Because I'm a woman that knows what she wants. I'm already a woman that was so established when we got together to where, being with you, it's like doing more of a justice for you than it is for me at the end of the day. And it's not that, we didn't have fun and that I didn't learn things being with him, but it's like at the end of the day, I did not need to go through what I went through just to be where I am right now. I didn't have to deal with that. And so when it gets to a point like that, obviously when you break up with the person, it's much easier to accept too, because it's like, Don't forget that you did not need this person. You know what I'm saying? It's no shade to him, but it's just like, I didn't need you. I didn't need to learn the same stuff that I already learned. I didn't need to teach you things that I already was taught, things like that. And so it's less of a blow when you remember, like, don't forget you put more into this person than they put into you. It doesn't really hurt from that aspect. You know what I'm saying? And just to kind of touch on the intentions of the person that you're with, I think that you could really tell. I think something that people really need to pay attention more to when it comes to people's intentions is how they act with you. Like, is this person open with you? Are they honest? Are they transparent? Are they telling you things that you don't need to ask? Or are they closed off? Or are they, not really vocal? Do they seem very anxious and like they don't want to talk about things? And mind you, when you're getting to know a person, I understand there's certain stuff you don't want people to know, certain things you might be ashamed of or afraid of. But ultimately, when you see that you're going somewhere with the person, not even going somewhere. When you're getting to know a person in the first stages, there's just certain things they need to know. It's certain things that you need to express. Okay? Because we might not even need to go far at all if there are certain things that I know about you in the beginning. Which means you can save yourself time, they can save themselves time, and unless they're trying to be selfish and be sneaky and malicious, or if they're just trying to use you, of course they're not gonna do all of these things, right? They're not going to look at you as an investment in that sense to even care to tell you things that you should know. You know what I'm saying? And you always have to remember that just because you're genuine does not mean that the person that you are talking to is going to be genuine. And that's one of the hard truths, because you would think like, okay, if I'm a genuine person and I'm treating a person this way, I expect it in return. And people can mask it and they can act like it, but the mask falls off eventually. Like, everybody's not genuine, everybody's not truthful, everybody's not honest, and it is what it is. And I want to now touch on the clarity that comes after the breakup, where after you break up with the person, you will really get to see who they really are, especially when it comes to their character and how they really feel about you. Because, yes, in the relationship, you should know who you're with, right? But when you break up, when you split, when things aren't so good, you really get to see how that person operates and what they choose to do and what they don't choose to do, how they decide to move, and how their actions can change and how they can just switch up. That can tell you a lot about not only how they feel about you, but a lot about how they feel about themselves as an individual. Because a lot of people just project. A lot of the times, how people treat you isn't necessarily because of something you did, but it's just because of who they are internally as an individual. You could be the best person to them, you could be the nicest person, you could have been the best girlfriend, the best guy, but there's something within them that is keeping them from being able to accept you for what you are. That's being able to keep them from treating you how you deserve to be treated, giving you the world that you deserve. And this is why a lot of people need to work on themselves as individuals and not be in relationships, because they can't handle being who they are while being next to you. They can't. Even if you're not the best person and they're not the best person, two toxic people are not going to, it's just not going to work, you know? So even if that person decides to be with the person who's super toxic, that's like them, that's not going to work out. It's going to be toxic. It's going to be worse than being with the person who isn't as toxic or toxic really at all, than being with the person who is toxic. You know what I'm saying? And nobody is perfect. So this is not to say that I'm perfect or I expected my ex-boyfriends to be perfect, but I do know that my ex-boyfriends had me, and I know the type of person I am and how patient I am and how much I put in and put in. And at any point, they could have chose to heal. They could have chose to do what was right and not what was comforting and not what benefited their egos. Because I deal with a lot of that. I remember during the breakup, my ex-boyfriend, he was not there for me whatsoever. Like, he just was not there for me. Like, on a scale from 1 to 100, he was there 2%. Barely. Okay? And can I really expect much when he wasn't there for me in the relationship how I needed him to be, especially toward the end of it, which is what led to the breakup? Can I really be surprised? I guess not. But it just goes to show people will show you their true colors. I went through the process of trying to heal, trying to forgive and forget. I went no contact with him a few times. There was a time where I didn't see him for like 2 weeks straight, and we used to see each other weekly, especially when he was in school and stuff. And so, you know, I've tried everything. I've tried to give him his distance. I blocked him. And I've always explained to him from the day we broke up, I don't care who you talk to. I don't care who you talk to. You're single. You can do what you want, right? But the moment that I told him, but the moment that you find yourself wanting to physically be with other people and like be intimate and do stuff like that, let me know, because you and I won't be doing anything respectfully. Because for one, I'm not sharing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? If you want to go off and do that, you can. I never said you can't, but you're not going to do it while dealing with me. We'll be just done completely. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously there was still attachment there. There was still love there on my end. I cannot say he loved me or still does, because his version of love and how he treated me is not the same version of what I know love is and how I treated him, especially after this breakup. So, however he felt is whatever he felt. But for me personally, knowing that I was very genuine with my feelings, okay, I can say that. And so when I did find out that he messed with somebody else, that was it between us. I was done at that point. You know what I'm saying? Um that was it. Because again, I'm not sharing you. And I'm not even giving you the idea that we're going to be doing any kind of love triangles or anything else like that. Because at the end of the day, I know where I stand when it comes to him. But the fact that you messed with somebody else and didn't even tell me, by the way, that was wrong. That was wrong. So, from that point, it just I kept being shown like over and over and over, like, this person does not care. This person wants to do what he wants. He wants to go against the grain on purpose. He knows what he should do, but he's purposely fighting against it. So you have to just let that be, because everybody has their limits, right? And for me, my biggest limit out of anything is when another woman is involved. I don't care if we're together or not. You know what I'm saying? And so clearly he did not respect that, and that's really where things took a turn for the better. I know you thought I was going to say the worst. I know you thought I was going to say the worst. It took a turn for the better, because that is all I needed. That's all I needed. you know he was not there for me. He didn't want to talk about certain things. He just felt like he didn't know how to fix or how to do this or how to do that. um Obviously we've had our back and forth, our arguments, as couples or people who broken up do. None of this stuff is out of the norm, right? um and then to sit there and like play the victim, and just then when you finally call yourself messing with another girl, not telling me like I asked you to, which is why I had an issue with it. From that to just showing me your true colors, and just exposing yourself, just exposing everything like that really just put the icing on the cake for me. And I already was so far into my healing journey by the time I found out he physically dealt with somebody else. It didn't bother me. It was more of like two things. It was two things. It was one, you just told me 6 months ago you didn't have the time and you didn't want to put it into a relationship, but then you find yourself dating a person, which doesn't make sense to me, because where do you think that's supposed to lead, right? And then you didn't tell me, you didn't say anything, because you knew if you told me, that would have been it. But that's selfish. That's selfish. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the situation, everything had to go how it had to go. It brought me back to my other ex, who did did the same exact thing when it came to breaking up, and the girl and the this and the that. So it's like, I've already been through this. I already know how this goes. I know how it ends too. So I know I don't got to really do much of anything. But it's just the simple fact of, I'm not going to continue to go through cycles and feel like I'm in my past, because people just don't want to grow. I don't have to sit around and I don't have to feel this way, especially when I've already went through it and I felt it and I know how to maneuver. I'm not overextending myself farther than what I already did. You know what I'm saying? That's just redundant as hell. I think one of the hardest parts is having to accept that you are not loved the way you love them. I think that's one of the hardest parts for a lot of people in relationships. Now, for me personally, it's not hard because I always knew I love people in a way that they can't. Like, I could give people love that they either never have or never experienced. So I know that when I get it without having to do all of these things and this, that, and the third, where it's like I don't have to sit here and teach a person how to do it, that's when I know the one is the one for me. And it's really as simple as that a lot of the times. And it can be really hard when you realize that, you know, coming out of this, I gave my all, I gave everything, and they gave bare minimum, where you know they could have did better, they could have did more, but they just chose not to. So it just really goes to show, you know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to this relationship stuff, like, people are so broken, where the people who are broken and have done the work, when you get with someone who did not, that just turns everything upside down. But on the flip side of accepting the truth for what it is, there's a lot of freedom in it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to dwell, you don't have to hold on to the feelings that you have toward it. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause it's going to be different for everybody. It's levels to it. But, you know, when you can sit there and you can just accept things for what they are, right? And just understand, like, you know what? This person couldn't give me what I wanted even if they forced it, because they didn't put the work in. They didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? So you just got to let stuff be what it is. You know what I'm saying? And let that run its course. Let them go learn elsewhere. That no matter where you run, no matter where you hide, you're gonna have the same issue no matter where you go. And some people are okay with that. Some people think that they're above the program and that, I'm gonna go prove this person wrong. You never know. I think he could be different over there. It's not. It's the same shit. You know what I mean? So you gotta let that stuff be. You know what I mean? You're not missing out on anything. You're not losing out on anything. You just have to be comfortable in knowing that what is for you is gonna be for you. And if that's not for you, there's nothing that you should be upset about. Yes, you could tell yourself, like, I wish I didn't have to waste my time or my energy, resources, this, that, my love, my body, da da da. And I understand it. But at the end of the day, life goes on, right? So you have to be okay with the idea of losing all of that and still moving forward. Because at the end of the day, you have to move into your next chapter. You have to move into your season, your healing. You know what I mean? And the longer you sit on that, the longer your process of moving forward is going to be, the longer you're holding yourself up, literally. And one of the best ways that I feel like a person can really heal, for one, you need to isolate yourself. And I don't mean like you can't go outside, you can't do things or be around people necessarily, but you need to have some time to yourself. And I went on a solo trip. I made a video about this and why I feel that it is necessary. So you can go watch that to get the full on of that. But go on a solo trip. Take a solo trip and do not, and when I say solo, I mean by yourself. Do not fly with anybody. I'm gonna fly with a couple friends. I'm gonna fly with somebody. We can get our own rooms and do our own thing. No. Go by yourself. Plan it by yourself. Pay for it by yourself. Go on that trip by yourself and come home by yourself. It'll change your life. I promise. I guarantee it'll change your life. But you need that space to be to yourself, to really be able to reflect and think about your life and who you are and who you want to be. You need that. Going person to person after breaking up and situationship and back to distracting yourself is not going to help anything. It's not going to make it disappear. It's not going to make it go away. You have to learn how to live in your truth, and your truth is within you. You have to learn how to live with yourself. You have to learn how to be happy with yourself. You have to choose to protect your peace over every and anything. And it starts with yourself. It really does. So, just to kind of close this up, I want to say that at the end of the day, clarity is something that you will only be able to really give yourself. Okay? The person that you are with, the people around you, the friends, the family, whoever you're talking to these things about, they cannot give you clarity. They may be able to give you advice, they may be able to, comfort you some, but like at the end of the day, you have to be true to yourself. You have to reflect on what actually happened, who that person actually is, accept it for what it is, not the illusion, not what you knew they could be, not the dream you had, right? And you have to be able to accept who you are and what you need to work on and how you need to move forward so that you don't make the same mistakes in being around or giving to a person like this again. To be able to trust what a breakup reveals to you, And you need to take that and treat it as redirection and not a loss. They might have took the L and lost you, but when you know that you did your part, you played it as well as you could, you was as genuine, as honest, you were there for them, you did everything you could, so you had nothing, you need to take that as a win and move forward. Because there is more to life than this individual and what they did to you. But what you can't do is let what they did to you and what they put you through direct your life in a negative aspect. You can't give anybody that much control. Somebody who tried to literally destroy you, someone who lied to you, manipulated you, somebody who used you for your own game, somebody who's very narcissistic, somebody who's very broken, somebody who has a lot of trauma, and somebody who's just has a lot of ego and is very selfish. You cannot let those people ruin your life and your outlook on love. You can't. Take a minute to yourself and try to get it together mentally and emotionally, figure out what you need to figure out, soak in it, feel it, but ultimately you have to move forward. You got to move forward. You got to move forward because they're moving forward. And even though their forward is technically backwards, it's technically not really moving anywhere. Physically, they're moving forward, but you need to be able to move forward internally first and externally. We don't want to just look like we're doing well. We don't want to be performative, right? We want to actually be doing well so that we can get better and we can do better. Because at the end of the day, love always wins. Love always wins at the end of the day. I think that I'm going to do a video um about my breakup specifically. When? I don't know. Because it's one of those situations where I want to feel ready to talk about it. Because even during the breakup, I took some time off of like posting regularly and stuff on social media just because I didn't want to post things like out of feeling angry or spite or emotions, even though I felt very valid, right? I still just wanted to make sure that, my content is reflecting me as a person and not just a period of time where, I was in a hole. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can do that if you want. But for me, I like to be authentic, and I know that a lot of the time emotions are temporary. A lot of feelings can be temporary. So I never want to post something that I really don't mean or isn't really a good time. So I took some time off of social media for that specific reason. And I just recently got back to being active like regularly. And so, you know, I do want to tell my story. I do want to talk about my breakup and even my relationship. But it is draining. It does take a lot of energy from me. So this is not something that I'm in a rush to talk about, or I feel like I got to hurry up and put something out there. Like, it's not that. I like to take things like this that happen in my life and make it into a testimony, make it into a learning experience, and just kind of, not it's not to dog the person out that I was with or expose per se. Like, it's not, that's not the intent. Because otherwise I could have just put a bunch of shit out a long time ago. This is for me, and I want to make sure that I'm taking my time with myself and making sure that, you know, I'm ready, because I'm just not necessarily ready to put it all out there. Um but like I said, I'm a very genuine person, and it's a part of my life. I'm not ashamed of saying the truth, because at the end of the day, like, if I'm going to be real with the internet, I got to be real with myself. I'm not doing this for views and clicks. This is not performative. This is not for entertainment purposes only. This is the real. And so I want people to be able to connect with me, and I want to be able to connect with them on a deeper level, right? And I want to be able to help other people with situations like this. So at some point, I do plan on talking about it. I don't know when. It could be days, weeks, months, years, who knows. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today. So I hope that this video does help somebody. If you like videos like this, make sure you're subscribing if you aren't already subscribed. If you have questions, make sure that you're leaving them in the comments. If there's something you want me to talk about, let me know and I will talk about it. I literally talk all the time. I love talking. I love interacting with people. Even though I'm an introvert, right? I still know when to ball. Like, I know ball. You know what I mean? I'm a talker. So yeah, make sure that you're subscribed and make sure you follow me on my other platforms, because if I'm not on YouTube, I'm definitely on TikTok. I'm on Instagram every day. You know what I mean? So, yeah, click the link in my bio, and I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys are staying true to yourself. And remember what I said, accept that man or woman for what they are, not what you thought they were going to be, what they are.